Hello everyone, my name is Victoria Tyron, and I would like to begin by thanking God for his endless favor, my friends and family who have uplifted me in every way possible, the JLA committee and the Jackson School for this opportunity. When I was notified that I was this year's recipient, I was excited, followed immediately by an oh shoot, I gotta give a speech. But in thinking hard about what I wanted to use these 3 to 5 minutes to say, I was reminded of some of the questions that the committee asked during the interview, like what my approach to leadership is. My answer essentially boiled down to, I'm doing what those who came before me did. And that is to approach leadership with a picture of the future. In that sense, my approach to leadership over time had taken on the form of many Black leaders and organizers who came before me, including the very ones who fought tirelessly to bring Black students and other students of color on this campus the Office of Minority Affairs and Diversity. In their actions and words, each of those students thought about people like me who would come here 50 years later, and they organized, strategized, and mobilized to ensure that the barriers and challenges they were facing would not remain to meet me. Their leadership was telling of the future they imagined. It is why, standing before you today, I would be committing a grave injustice to not think about the students who look like me, who will be attending this institution and many others across this nation in the future. I must wonder if the challenges and systematic oppression facing Black America today across all fronts will remain to meet them in the future, in the next 50 years. It is because I am thinking of them that I cannot bring myself to give another flowery commencement speech that promises a world where the sky is the limit. Because if we will all be honest with ourselves, if you, the 2020 graduating class of the Jackson School, the people of this university, and all of America will be honest with ourselves, we will see that those words, cliche as they may seem, are not true for Black counterparts. And yet, you go to school with us, you work with us, and engage in several different relationships with us. Where is the sense of justice and humanity? Even if you have closed your eyes and ears to the long history and outward manifestations of anti-Blackness in this country, the past few months, and especially the past couple weeks, demands that you no longer do that. The truth is that no matter how hard we want to believe that the sky is truly the only thing that can stop us, myself and the rest of Black America knows that this is not the case. Every day we encounter and are reminded of the institutional barriers that limit us. Like when we apply for and are denied relief funding to keep our businesses open during a global pandemic. We're reminded of the challenges and risks to our health as unaddressed racial biases and social disparities result in the dismissal of our well-being. And most importantly, we are reminded of our limits each time we see another video and hashtag about the brutal execution of our brothers and sisters and children at the hands of those meant to protect and serve. We are reminded that we are only allowed to touch the sky when our souls depart from our bodies and our pleas for breath and life fall upon deaf ears. Unfortunately, words like please don't shoot and I can't breathe are continuously being engraved upon the fabric of this nation, and it seems like no one cares. Today, standing before you, I fully recognize that I am an exception to a rule, to the rule of blatant racism and oppression pushing forth an agenda of anti-Blackness, and it runs through this country like blood in veins. And because we are not asked about our degrees and families and numerous accolades before police brutality and other oppressive measures execute us, do not look at me and the Black people in these graduating caps and gowns to make your judgments and decisions about getting involved. Look to and remember people like Ms. Breonna Taylor, an award-winning EMT and ER technician with lifelong plans of doing her part in healthcare. Remember Ms. Tatiana Jefferson, whose life was taken from her in her own home doing something each of you have done before, playing video games and taking care of your families. Mr. Botham Jean, a graduate of Harding University and an accountant for a multinational firm, Price Waterhouse, murdered because he was thought to be a burglar in his own home by a police officer who should have known better. Know the name Shalon Irving, who despite numerous degrees from top universities and accomplishments in research health, was failed by a healthcare system that continuously dismisses the history, health, and voices of Black women. Remember the names of Clementa Pinckney, Cynthia Graham, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lance, DePayne Middleton Doctor, Tywanza Sanders, Danielle Simmons, Sharonda Coleman Singleton, and Myra Thompson, also known as the Charleston Nine, violently massacred at a Bible study simply because of the color of their skin. Remember Ahmaud Arbery, who was hunted down like an animal during his regular jog because he was racially profiled and suspected of theft. Remember Mr. George Floyd, a truck driver known as Floyd and called a gentle giant by all who knew and loved him. Murdered in broad daylight by a police officer for what was thought to be a forged $20 bill. For the Black people of this country, every thought, action, and word spoken is a fight to exist. Unfortunately, there are hundreds and thousands of others, known and unknown, who have suffered like this. Every day something happens that makes me wonder if I will be next, if my sisters will be next, my father, my mother, or my friends. It breaks my heart, and it should do the same to yours, to imagine that many more will continue to meet this fate if silence and action continues to be the status quo. As quoted by Professor Cassava, the world is not something out there for us to wonder about. It is us. In the same way, this country is not something out there that we ponder. It is us and the culmination of our actions that make it what it is. The education we have and the degrees we receive today will be nothing more than accessories if we don't use them as the tools of change they are meant to be. They impart a distinct opportunity and responsibility upon us to be at the forefront of the fight against the hypocrisy of this nation and making it live up to everything it has claimed and claims to be. As our next steps takes us into various career fields and institutions of this country, we must leverage the power of our education. You must leverage your privilege, white and otherwise, and other privileges granted to you by the system if justice is to be achieved. If my words and the words of many others across this country have meant anything to you, then you have to start asking yourself what needs to be done besides praying hand emojis and hashtags. Ask why is it that 99% of police killings in the wrongful death of Black people do not receive sentences. Ask if any of your friends, families, and community members face the same fears of doing everyday things like jogging, playing in the park, going to church, and working to earn a living like Black people do. And as you ask these questions, look around you. When looking, cast your eyes down from the billowing smoke of the fires to see the blood and bodies of Black mothers, fathers, and children on the ground. Listen beyond the sounds of crashing glass on the pavement to hear the cries of Black America pleading that we not be forced to bury our futures with the next body. Do not let your discomfort and fear restrict you. Look beyond the point of comfort where your gaze is always stopped and begin to look at your families, communities, and societies. Identify and acknowledge where you have done your part, but also where you have failed. Analyze the voices you allow yourself to hear and the ones you've dismissed. When we organize, strategize, and mobilize, educate yourself on how to be the best ally possible. Do not allow anyone to tell you that this is just a fight between Black and white, us versus them. No, it doesn't have to be. For the only us in this is those against racism and injustice, and the only them are those who fail to see their detriments. Once again, I truly want to congratulate you because all of you have, without a doubt, accomplished something incredible. But please do not let your education and leadership stop on this campus. Do not let your sense of what is right and what ought to be stop at the Jackson School. We are students of international studies spanning across all focuses and concentrations, but it is not only our travels to other parts of the world that will bring about change. There is a call for change in this very country. So please use your skills from the communication track, your skills in human rights, your knowledge in global and economic development, and in all the regional studies, putting them into action like voting when the time comes. Be of use. As we enter new spaces and pave new paths, may we not wait for titles and higher positions in the chain before doing our part. I ask that in this next chapter of our lives, our acts of leadership will outweigh our words about it, and most importantly, that our acts of leadership, will be telling of the future we imagine. Thank you.